Greetings, boys and girls. Welcome to the heart of CHRONOS Music Studio, Timeworks Studio. Today I want to talk about the recently released, or let's say re-released, remastered album Venus. It was released by Altar Records on 26th of January. I was 35 years old, or maybe 35 years young, who knows. It depends only on inner state, youthness of the soul. So today we will talk about the Venus album, the original concept of 2012. I will show you the sounds, how they was made. So let's dig in. So the original concept of the album When Mars Met Venus was made after the great science fiction writers such as Ray Bradbury and Ivan Yefremov, and especially the Ivan Yefremov. It's my favorite science fiction writer. As you may know, Ivan Yefremov lived in Soviet Unity. It was a long time ago, and all those times, all those golden times, times of development of the Russian country, development of socialism, communism, and in those golden times, Ivan Yefremov wrote one of his best books, such as Hour of Bull. This fantastic story tells us about brave cosmonauts from the Earth who's going far in the universe. The reason was not only to find a new home for our children and next generations, but also to find the communication between us from the Earth and with the other kind of life, with the other civilizations, with the other life beings. So all the album based on this story. The story is very inspirative, and let's talk about each specific track and its story. So the first story of remastered album called Star Swimmer. The original release of Venus began from the Living Gaia track, but I decided to cancel it in this time because all the album is in the ambient and original soundtrack genre. So I take all the dynamic tracks off to have more fluid concept and more chapter by chapter story. So the Star Swimmer story, it's about cosmonauts, about brave people who spend a lot of time, sometimes years, in the space, far from their relatives, families and lovers. And these words, Star Swimmer, came after we visiting the museum of Tsiolkovsky, the first inventor of the space age. And now I will show you a few sounds I made especially on this synthesizer. This is a Yamaha AN1X, my favorite synthesizer of past 10 years. Lots of ideas based on this machine in the Venus album. So let's start from the Star Swimmer track, and I will show you the preset number 4, it named Soul. It's the most slowly evolved pad I had ever made on any synthesizer. and the same slow preset called Rise. So the second story about the Venus album is a red planet. As you can imagine, this story it's about the Mars planet, about the real planet, but also about the Tormans planet on which cosmonauts had arrived in the book Harov of Bull by Ivan Yefremov. It's a very lonely desert planet without any good resources, without a good water, without a good food. It reminds me Mars very much, because Mars it's like a symbol of loneliness, and that's why the track feels so calm and ambientish, but in the same time it feels very deep and very melancholic, as I can describe Mars after Ivan Yefremov, after Ray Bradbury. Ray Bradbury had a lot of tales about the Mars under the Martian Chronicle. And now I want to show you a special Super Soul pad I made specially for the Red Planet track to show this feeling of loneliness. It's made also on the Yamaha AN1X, and let's remember how it sounds. And in the same time, I had used very old vintage synthesizer Roland JX3P for making this violin sound. This sound is very unique because the synthesizer is from 1983, and I made this sound from scratch especially for this track. The third story is about the Soaring Abyss. The inspiration came from the classic film Space Odyssey 2001 by Stanley Kubrick. You even can hear the sigh of the cosmonaut from the film in this track. And this track is very hypnotic and floating, thanks to Yamaha AN1X. And let's check what kind of sounds we can hear in this track, Soaring Abyss, with the helping of Yamaha. Okay, the next one is the Soaring Abyss. You already heard the story, and I will show you a few sounds used in this track. This is a FM bells with the random arpeggiation, and it also morphs using two synths in the Yamaha AN1X using the modulation wheel. I had recorded these bells with a random arpeggiation and put it in the stretch engine. So after the huge stretch, like from 30 seconds to 1 hour, it sounds like this. So maybe it's hard to believe that we got those sound from this one. But you can imagine hearing this white noise. When it's stretched, it sounds like a structure, like an ambient drone. This is the first patch for the Soaring Abyss, and the second one is it's kind of also a random arpeggiation. It's kind of variation of the first one. The fourth story of Venus remastered, named Dark Flame Landing. Dark Flame is the name of the main spaceship in the Hour of Bull, in the Hour of Bull book. In the Hour of Bull story. This ship was landed on the Torments, and the live beings of Torments invite our cosmonauts to their places. And there were a kind of ceremony when the Dark Flame had landed. That's why this track is a maximum fits to the soundtrack story. There were a first contact, and after the whole story is opening like a flower. The next track is the Dark Flame Landing. It starts from the FM pad. It gives kind of very cosmic feeling and very, let's say, cinematic feeling. Also, some parameters assigned on the slider. And of course, also the random arpeggio trick with the preset called Magic 2 with a special chord. And with the changing tempo. The next story called Vector of Friendship. This is an idea of Stanislav Lem, one of my favorite science fiction writers, and he predicted the future when he said that there will be a special technology called Vector of Friendship. This technology helps friends to communicate on the Earth or outside the Earth in fast speed and with a good holographic picture. So in nowadays, in our 2021, we have Skype, we have WhatsApp and other technologies, and we can communicate with the cosmonauts on the huge distances. For the Vector of Friendship track, as it one of the most abstract tracks, I created this kind of rhythm using the virtual synthesizer Native Instruments Massive. And of course, the last story called Gagarin. How can we forget our hero? So this track is dedicated to Yuri and to his brave first spaceship trip around our orbit. And you can even hear the Yuri's voice in this track. And also inside lots of funny elements, including the yellow rubber duck. Let's check it out. And for the Yuri Gagarin track, we had recorded a real rubber duck. It sounds like this after stretching. At first it was wow, but after stretching it sounds like this. So, boys and girls, thank you very much for watching. I hope this story was interesting for you. Thank you very much for your support. And see you next time in the review of the new upcoming tracks. Thank you very much for Gabriel DJ Zen from Altar Records from Moscow.
Thank you.